G'day, welcome back. Something a little different tonight. Now, a few days ago on YouTube, I made a post asking for some suggestions of content you would like to see. Now, although the suggestions you made were fantastic, perhaps I can't do a full video on each one. However, I want to address them all because you guys had some good questions and I want to answer them for you. So I'm going to go through all of these now and answer them, and hopefully you get something out of it. Let's go. Okay, for the first question or suggestion, TJ Cheshire, hope I said that correctly, he asks, the eating and dieting part, calories, etc. Where you think perhaps the point of diminishing returns is in body weight? Would you say be able to lift 380 but at 20 kilo less body weight, etc.? It's a good question. Now, I think that in terms of diminishing returns in the gym and how much perhaps is too much in terms of eating and putting on weight. Now, I think as a baseline, as a man, I think that if you cannot go to the bathroom and wipe your own ass, if you cannot do up your shoelaces without getting puffed out, and I think that if you cannot see your penis when you look down, I think that you have gone past the point that we're talking about here. I think it's fantastic to be strong, and you should be as big and as strong as you can possibly be. But if you cannot function like a normal person, if you cannot see your penis when you look down because of your gut, those are not good things. They are not desirable things, and it doesn't matter how strong you are if in the real world you would not be able to do a fucking thing with it, okay? And also, as a man, don't you want to look masculine? Don't you want to look strong? Because I'll tell you right now, someone, and I don't mean this in a fucking mean way, I'm not here to bully people. I've been fat before, okay? Sometimes I carry more body fat than other times, whatever. But I'm not speaking from someone on a high horse, but it's important to look like you lift weights. Being fat and soft is a sign that you have no discipline. If you cannot control the food that goes in your mouth, you cannot control the simple things like that, you are subject to the world. That's my opinion. There is nothing good about being unhealthy, fat and overweight. Doesn't matter how strong you are. You should be able to take your shirt off and feel confident and also be strong. I think that's what you should aim for. Okay, so to answer that question in a long-winded manner, lift as much as you fucking can, get as big as you fucking can. Just make sure that you can see your old mate when you look down, and you can wipe your ass, and I think you're looking pretty good. Suggestion 2, Leo says, advanced training stuff. Because I think that your viewers aren't beginners, they're at least intermediate. Let me fucking tell you something, and I mean this in a respectful manner. To get strong, to be the fucking best, do the basics really fucking well. All these people that you see doing this bullshit, reinventing the wheel, gimmicky motherfucking, I don't know what you want to call it. It's garbage. When you see people doing that, let me tell you right now, the best in the world are not doing those things. The best in the world nail the basics. They do the basics day in, day out. They don't fuck around with the 1% bullshit all the time. They focus on the 99%ers, the simple things, and they do it right, and they do it consistently, and that is how you get good. So, take this as a learning opportunity. Just because something looks fancy and new does not mean that it will work. Look at the things that people have been doing for years and seeing success time and time again. Tried and tested. I think showing you advanced things for the sake of it would be detrimental to your growth as a lifter and negligent from me because I don't believe in it at all. I will teach you things. For example, I said in a bench press video a little while back, an advanced bracing technique. I say advanced because maybe it's a little bit different to what you're used to, but I also said that if you want to be good,
You will get 80% failures, but you will also get good.
learn this way first, not this way. So there's a time where I'll tell you this may be considered a little more advanced and that perhaps it's more suitable to learn just that. Because if you want to be the best, you learn the best ways. And 99% of the time, the best ways are the simplest ways. And if there are things that are a little more difficult and require more experience, so be it. We will get there. But again, there's no point fretting about those things until you have the basics perfected, mastered. Until you can do all that shit with your fucking eyes closed, with no sleep, without eating for a week, then you can worry about the 1%ers. Okay? Suggestion 3, Joseph C. He says, warm-ups and how you plan your jumps on your way up to working weight and how that changes, if it does, depending on how heavy you go. I heard you shouldn't add more jumps, you should just make the jumps bigger. Is that something you do, or do you add more jumps? Thanks in advance, dude. No worries, brother. Well, let me help you with this one. Now, warm-ups and jumps are two different things. Warm-ups are what we do before we get underneath the barbell, okay? And I'll talk more on warm-ups in a bit because someone else had a question about warm-ups more specifically. So let's talk about jumps. Now, on your way to a working weight, I'm going to use myself as an example and I'll use just a made-up person as my other example. Now, when I am strong, I am a 410 kilogram deadlifter. If I was going to be working up to a max single with my deadlifts and I'm strong, this is how it would go. After I've done my warm-ups, I would put 70 kilos on the bar, do 2 sets of 5 reps. Okay, the first rep, I would be finding the groove, doing the movement. When I come back to that bar for the second set of 5, it is full intent. Okay, I will then jump to 120 kilograms and I will perhaps do 3 reps. That is a 50 kilogram jump. I will then jump another 50 kilograms and I'll do generally a single 1 rep at 170 kilograms. Now you may be asking, why am I only doing 1 rep so early? I have a lot of warm-up sets. I have done my warm-up before I got into the barbell, so I'm activated. Now my only job is to get myself ready to handle heavy weights without fatiguing myself, making sure I'm warm but not fatigued or tired. After 170 kilograms, another 50 kilos, 220 kilograms, 1 rep, full intent. Next jump, 270. It's another 50 kilos, 1 rep. We go again. 320 kilograms, another 50 kilos, 1 rep. Now we're getting a little closer to my max. We're around 75%, maybe a little bit above. I might jump to 355 to 360 kilos for a single, obviously. And then I will do my last warm-up. That might be at 385, 390 kilos. So that could be a 30 kilo jump roughly, a 30 to 35 kilo jump before my final jump to 410 kilograms, which could be 20 to 25 kilos, depending on what I've taken last warm-up. It's important to not have your last warm-up too close to your working set because we don't want to fatigue ourselves too much, but we don't want it to be too big of a jump because we do need to be ready for that stimulus. That's why we work up in weight, to get our body ready to handle heavy weights. Now, I only do singles for a lot of the time, because if I was to do 3 or 4 reps every set, I would be acquiring too much fatigue. I do not want to be fatigued. I want to be warm and I want to be ready to lift heavy weights, okay? Now, if this was someone who's a 180 kilogram deadlifter, their warm-up would look different. I would suggest, after doing warm-up, 60 kilos on the bar, 2 sets of 5, 90 kilos on the bar, a set of 3, 120 kilos on the bar, a set of 1, 150, a set of 1, 180, a set of 1, 200 for your top heavy single PB perhaps. Okay, so the jumps are more like 30 kilos instead of 50 kilos. And again, if you are lifting less than that, your jumps may be even smaller. Now, where you say, I heard you shouldn't add more jumps, you should make the jumps bigger. Now, that would depend over time. I wouldn't say, for example, if you've gone from 180 kilos to 200 kilos in a training cycle, that you all of a sudden just make bigger jumps. I would say that you would just add in that extra 1 warm-up. I think that increasing the amount of kilos in each jump can be detrimental if your total strength hasn't increased dramatically. That happens over time. So working training cycle to training cycle, I would just add the extra warm-up, probably not do bigger jumps, because that could definitely throw you out somehow. And again, as long as you're paying attention to how many repetitions you're doing in total during your warm-ups, fatigue shouldn't be too affected. So I hope that makes sense. It made sense to me, but if it doesn't, hit me up with another question and I'll try and answer it again. So there you go, and you say thanks in advance, dude, and I say no fucking worries. Now, 2 people pretty much asked a very similar thing. They asked to see a day in the life leading to the gym. That would be dope. Clifford Butler says that. And Mitch Smith says day in the life. And Kyle Kelly then commented a vlog would be cool. Well, to address that, that is something that I will definitely do. In all honesty, it's something hard to produce for you guys because it would require someone to follow me around all day, and normally I don't like people follow me around all day. But if you guys want to see that and see what I get up to, see what goes into my days, with work, with training, with food, with fucking scratching my ass, whatever it may be, I can do that. So give me some time to work on that and it will be done. Male Shines, or S. Hines, however it may be, suggests flexibility. I've trained BJJ and MMA my whole life and have started powerlifting with the past 3 years. I've always tried my hardest not to sacrifice flexibility for strength. I do a mountain of stretching, BJJ and all the other shit they say, but if you have any little tips, do or don't, that you did that you now think you would change if you could. Thanks, mate. Love your content. Been here from the start. Will catch me at the end as well. Question didn't make a lot of sense reading it out, but I know exactly what you're asking. So I'm going to answer it for you, my friend. Is flexibility important in powerlifting and strength training? To a degree. Mobility is also important to a degree. Potentially more important, I'm not sure. What is the difference? Flexibility is flexibility of muscles, mobility is mobility of joints. Just to simplify that for you there, okay? Now, the issue with is when someone is hyper flexible or hyper mobile, it is not good for strength. Why? A hyper flexible muscle, for example, cannot contract the same as a muscle that is perhaps not as flexible or stretchy or elastic. We need a certain amount of tension within our muscles to contract and produce force in a sense. So if you are too flexible, you are letting yourself down in terms of your strength training. Now, is your strength training or your BJJ more important to you? That's up for you to decide. I'm not saying that one's right or wrong. If you want to be stronger, do a little less stretching. focus on your strength training. If you have the mobility and flexibility to achieve a full depth squat, to bench press and to deadlift without pain, you have enough mobility and flexibility to powerlift. You don't need to be more flexible or more mobile than that, provided that I do agree that you should be able to function like a normal person and move properly. But if you can do all that, then I think you're fine. If your BJJ is more important, well then maybe you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit of strength for your BJJ skills. And that is up for you to decide, not me. So I hope that helped. I think it did. I hope it did. And I hope it made sense. Not much makes sense sometimes to me. Kyle Kelly suggests, and this is something similar to something else in terms of food, but a little bit different. I actually like to see how you eat. I know it sounds weird, but a powerlifter's diet is just as important as a bodybuilder's. I think it would be cool to see what you eat before and after training. If others think it's stupid, then fuck it, just putting it out there. It's a good question. However, I don't think that a powerlifter's diet is as important as a bodybuilder's diet. Bodybuilders absolutely depend wholeheartedly on their diet to get on stage and look a certain way, so arguably their diet is more important than ours. I do not eat a diet as strict as a bodybuilder's, for example, but there are certain things that I adhere to that suit my goals. My goal is not to be absolutely shredded, because if I was to be absolutely shredded, I would sacrifice a lot of my strength. My main goal is strength, but I still like to look good and have confidence. So that's important to me. So I like to make sure that I'm eating enough food so I can be big and strong, but not too much where I feel fat and soft, because it doesn't feel good when you feel like that. You have no confidence, and that's not a good way to live. So in terms of eating, before and after training, for me, I try to eat a lot of carbohydrates, good amount of protein and a little bit of fats. I would say somewhere in the ballpark of 60% carbohydrates, 35% proteins and 15% fats. I like to eat things that are easy for me to digest before I train, something like a big bowl of cereal, maybe some pasta, something high in carbohydrates. There's always some meat in my pasta. I'll have some protein powder to my cereal to give me some protein and carbs. Those two things are really important before and after I train. So I'm always making sure I'm getting in a good amount of carbohydrates and protein before and after training. Fats, I'm not too concerned about actually trying to eat fats. I end up just eating enough fats within the foods that I'm eating anyway, and they only take up about 15% of my daily macros. I'm not strict in measuring or counting my macros. I am fairly intuitive. I've been doing it for long enough to understand what I need to do and eat to achieve my goals. If I'm getting fat, I eat less. If I'm getting skinny, I eat more. I'm experienced enough to do this. Not everyone is. Sometimes you need to track it, and that's cool too. More power to you. You do whatever you need to do to achieve your goals. That's how it is. And finally, Michael Frischer, I think, suggests it would be cool to see your training program and diet. We've spoken about the diet already. Training program. Now, my training program is very different to a lot of people's training programs, and it might not work for you. It might work for you. I train for me. I don't necessarily program my lifters in the same way that I train either, because we're different people. I'm at a different level to a lot of them. I understand that, and I know how to get the most out of people. Now, in terms of my own training, generally 4 days a week, 2 upper body, meaning 2 bench press days, a squat day and a deadlift day, and sometimes there'll be a conditioning day in there as well. Quite often there'll be a conditioning day. Now, the programs themselves, they constantly change depending on my goals. Closer to competition, they're very specific to powerlifting. If it's a strongman competition, they're very specific for the events that I'm using in that strongman comp. So for me to just sit here and show you an example of my training program, that would not tell the whole story. I structure my programs, as I said, there's 4 days with that 5th day of conditioning, and that stays fairly consistent throughout. And I also program for my lifters in the same manner, 4 days of weight training, and if they ask for conditioning, they get a day of conditioning too, or a day of you know, a bit of a pump day in the gym, as I like to say, which is cool as well. It's an active recovery. Also, it's conditioning if you work hard enough. Whichever way you want to look at it, it's good to be active all day. So even the days that I'm not training, I'm going for a walk or being active in some way because I don't like to be lazy. But yeah, as I said, training program wise, I could sit here and tell you all the reps and sets that I do on these days, and it's not going to make any sense to you because that's just going to constantly fucking change depending on whereabouts in my program I'm up to and what goal I'm currently chasing. But as you see on my YouTube channel, you should get a grasp of how I program. For example, my bench press days, always bench press first, then dumbbell pressing, then back work, then arms. And on the squat days, squats, main squats, then I do a variation squat, leg press, leg extensions. You know, it has a structure. The main movement first, followed by a variation, followed by generally training the protagonist muscle groups. So, you know, I'm training chest. I'm going to train my back as well. You know what I mean? I'm making sure that my program keeps me balanced, keeps me healthy, and keeps me well-rounded. I don't want to be a one-dimensional power lifter per se. I want to be an excellent fucking power lifter. I want to total 1,100 kilograms as a power lifter, but I want to be more than a power lifter. For me, being a round ball of chub and totaling 1,100 kilos wouldn't cut it for me. What's the fucking point? I want to say I total 1,100 kilograms and I could last 6 seconds in a fight with a bear. At the end of the day, no matter how fucking strong you are, bear's gonna fuck you up. It is what it is. But I hope that makes sense, and I hope I've answered your questions. Maybe I'll do this again. If you guys have more questions, please drop a comment, and if I get enough questions, I'll do a whole other video answering those questions, so they can be very personal to you. I'll answer them the best I can. It doesn't have to be just training, it can be mental health, lifestyle, anything. If you want to get to know me, I'm happy to share things about myself. But I really appreciate you guys coming. If you're still here listening, I hope you learned something. Hopefully you don't think I'm talking too much shit. I have fun doing this, and you know, from what I see so far, you guys like what I'm doing. Tomorrow is deadlift day, so I'll be recording tomorrow for deadlift day, and I'll be sure to pump that up on this channel as well. And as sometimes I like to talk about, I sell merch. Now, tonight, it ain't nothing illegal because you can just use these to grind tobacco. But if you enjoy smoking tobacco products, and only tobacco products, we do sell rolling trays so you can roll up your tobacco products, grinders so you can grind up your tobacco products, as well as a whole bunch of other things, footwear, clothing, jackets, programs. We have a new program coming out very soon. It is an ebook style program, so if you want to check out our programs, that'll be dropping very soon, but I do have several other programs on my store ready to go right now. And we have some more designs, merchandise coming very soon. And good news, side note, we secured a new location for the gym today. So, Temple Gym, new location coming to Tuggerah, New South Wales, Central Coast in Australia. And we are fucking pumped about it. We've been looking for a spot for nearly 6 months, and we have found the one. It is beautiful. It will be our place of worship, the place we go to honor the old gods and to honor strength and to honor all that we are, so that we may reach our full fucking potential, because we are strong, we are powerful. It's about fucking time we realized it. I hope you fucking realize it, because you're watching my channel and you're seeing what I'm doing. Let me tell you right now, you can work your own shit. You can get fucking strong as well. You know what I mean? You can do big things. I appreciate your support, and I wish you well in your journey. May you have a good day, good evening, and until next time, go to the fucking gym.